Hello and welcome to Super Geeks, March 25th, 2019. With me today, unfortunately, is Raul the Bell. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing today, Raul?
I'm doing fine, George. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Raul, you sound like you're being held hostage.
He does kind of sound like that.
I am perfectly fine.
Are you doing the show under duress? Is somebody pointing a gun at you?
I am perfectly fine.
I'd like to peek under his duress.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
Speaking of people that either don't wear pants or want to peek, Sean, how you doing?
Good, but you realize you got the date wrong, right?
No,
it's tomorrow.
Oh, it is tomorrow?
It airs tomorrow.
March 25th.
Wait, we do this show in the future? I didn't realize that.
In
Okay.
a way, we are time travel.
Future.
I'm future guy. I'm future guy, like from Star Trek.
Oh, there you
Very
go
good.
again, George, with the temporal Cold War.
Right. George is the guy. George, so you're the guy that will never be mentioned on Discovery. Got it. Let's go. All right. I'm here, pantless, and still got a bit of a cold. Took a 3-hour nap.
And then talk without.
It makes your voice sound husky, Sean.
I know it's rough.
It's sexy.
We also have Sun Sail with us. I'm remembering to introduce her this time. How you doing, Sun?
Hello. Yes, it's nice to have you introduce me this time. Also, if you hear it, there's mysterious thunder going off in the background. Ooh.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It was also midnight.
It was a dark and
that's right.
stormy
You're 1
day.
hour behind me.
Yeah, she's in the future.
She's in my past. She's in my past, and you're future. We're all
She's
in
the
timey-wimey. All right, and then
Wibbly wobbly.
Last but certainly not least, Carlos Pedraza. How you doing?
I'm a little wibbly wobbly, but I had a nap just before the show, so I'm ready for action.
Don't get all wobbly.
The power of a nap.
Ronald.
All right.
It's one of those situations where you're reading with a 10-year-old to put them to sleep, and you're the one who gets put to sleep.
That had to happen.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, I like how everything you say you're ready for action. All I think of is like an '80s like action figure commercial, like with all the kids and they're playing in the dirt, and you got all these visuals flashing by. That's what I think of every single time. You with your kung fu grip, it's amazing.
I have a great kung fu grip.
All the boys say that.
All right, so we're gonna start off with some of us have seen it, some of us haven't. One of us doesn't care, but. We're going to start off with the latest episode of Orville, which is Season 2, Episode 11, Lasting Identity. And,
I don't mind talking about the last two, by the way. I hate to cut you off, but the last two, were kind of noteworthy.
Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about the one before that, did we? Well, overall, in general, Sean, we'll start with you, because has Orville improved a little bit? Has it gotten a little more original?
I'm firmly in the camp of being disappointed at the show in general, because it's not being original, and it's just completely ripping off Next Generation. But these are two very original episodes. I was very, very, very happy about that. I looked at the first episode, and which I think is Blood of the Patriots or something like that.
Yeah, and, the one with Gordon's friend that was a POW.
Right, and it was a little tropey, and there were minor things in it that were reminiscent of old Trek, but it was primarily, this was an original story, and it was pretty good. I really appreciated that, and of course the one from this week, what was it even called? I don't know. I just turned it on and started watching.
I just said it. It was Lasting Impressions, season 2.
Lasting Impressions. That was a completely original episode, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And a lot of people are hating on the Bortus.
I'm one of those people, but you know why?
Yeah,
for me, it's a thing.
Well, I get it, but I mean, looking at it from from I don't hate on the Bortus subplot. I actually I thought it was funny. I just thought it was out of place with the A story. It just didn't seem to make any sense whatsoever.
Well, some people pointed out on Facebook it kind of made no sense why we would choose cigarettes to put in a time capsule, but then again, maybe they just didn't expect people to smoke them once they opened it.
Well, I don't understand why you wouldn't. You put things that are relevant in your culture in a time capsule.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
regardless of what it is. I mean, that seems to be a silly argument. We wouldn't put that. Why wouldn't we put that in there? I'm just impressed that the time capsule remained completely sealed and airtight with no degradation at all for over 400 years. That's kind of impressive by itself.
Man, I can't
We
wait
have the
to
technology to do that now.
Yeah, you can.
I can't wait to open up a time capsule 400 years in the future and smoke some dank kush.
You can start right
Thank
now.
you, Montreal.
Why you gotta wait for 400 years? Start now. Who's stopping you? But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought both episodes were really good, and I thought they closed out the end of Lasting Impressions extremely well. And since I think we should have a running topic on the show, running theme, a weekly. This person is a better counselor than Deanna Troy, and Kelly in 2 minutes was a better counselor than Deanna Troy was in 7
Good
seasons.
writing on that episode.
It was very well done.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, there was an A plot where one of the items they found in a time capsule that Tim Russ, aka Tuvok from Voyager, guest starred as the guy who was bringing the time capsule to some historical place on another colony or something that they had established, and Orville was transporting it. So they found a cell phone, and they wanted to see if they could make it work to, with cross compatibility with the technology. So Gordon gets it working, and he hooks it up to the simulator computer, and they extrapolate all the data of that person's life, this girl named Laura, and he wanted the computer to run the best simulation it could based on all the data in the phone. Now, here's where it got interesting. I thought it was going to be a typical, from the commercials, Minuet ripoff, where it was a typical fall in love with a holographic girl, whatever story. But what was the best twist to this story was, Gordon fell in love with her, and the comedy of him getting phone calls at work, that was so funny. And everybody thinking he's getting a little weird with his, fake girlfriend. But he's telling them, no, it's different because this was a real person, and it's just what is real, one of those philosophical arguments. And he goes, it's not a made-up girl like a regular simulator girl that we program. This is taken from someone's phone, and it's their actual, it's an algorithm based on who they were. So, but the twist was that there was a point where the computer, he was going to lose her because she was going to leave. She left him for her old boyfriend, Jeff. Was that his name? No, what was his name? Craig? I forget. You said it earlier.
Greg,
right. And he kept trying to edit it out, but the computer couldn't do it because the reason why...
No, he did it. He did edit. He deleted it. What happened is they get back together because
right, but then the computer can only go so far.
Gordon, no. What happened was Gordon didn't read deep enough into her text and into her social media to realize that Greg and her eventually get back together again. And so when he shows up at her house, she's back together with him, and she's breaking the bad news to him. He thinks the solution to this is to just delete Greg completely. But the problem is that by doing that what he did was he took away something from her, because as Kelly points out in her very better than Troy moment, is that everybody's interactions, we're social creatures, and everybody's interaction with other people, they shape who we are as people. So by her not having Greg in her life, who was her ex-boyfriend before Gordon met her, by her not having him in her life, it changed her personality completely.
It changed what the computer was extrapolating, right?
Right, exactly. So I mean,
it was like saying, go ahead, sorry.
And basically what the truth was is that, as pointed out, is that everything he made a distinction between them programming and this just being the computer extrapolating based on all the data of her personal data. It was her own life. But the moment that he changed something, that was the moment that he was guilty of what he was accusing others of doing. That is creating their own simulations, because that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to perfect her. And which, by the way, that trope has been done in Trek before. I let it slide. It's okay. Because the rest of the episode was so damn well done. See, son, I do let things slide.
And there was a guy...
He's a slider.
I'm not going to... What I'm about to say is not going to violate anyone's privacy, because I'm not going to say who they are or what group it was. It was one of the many thousands of Orville groups out there. Somebody gave a passionate speech about why... He was one of many people that gave a speech about why this episode meant so much to him. Because he said him and his wife are having marital problems. They're in couples counseling. And he said that one of the things that was this episode mirrored was when Gordon realized he couldn't control her by editing her, and that he shouldn't do that or try, that it wouldn't really be her anymore. It reminded him of the things that they were counseling for, which is he was always trying to be controlling of changing his wife, who his wife was, and that was one of the things they were trying to overcome. It made him have a light bulb moment and realize. He said it helped because him and his wife had a conversation after the show, because it suddenly dawned on him by seeing it play out here in this show that that's what he's been trying to do, is like change and edit his marriage,
that's a very good point, and I hadn't even considered that side of it, because the angle of it that I came from, which they also pointed out, was, what I just discussed actually, was the part about, people's influence on your lives and changing you as a person. Like, look, I am not the same guy I was back 16 years ago before I met my wife.
Right.
Period. And so my goals in life are different. My outlook on the world is different. And of course, after meeting my wife, and of course, then having kids, it changes you entirely. It changed me entirely, at least.
And she pointed out. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's this episode kind of fired on all cylinders, hitting the marks on what this show should be doing, and that is relating to people with contemporarily. And I give it props for that. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
One of the things I'm glad they did not do that I kind of at first wanted to do, but I'm glad they didn't go there, because there's been a lot of complaints. One of the only big complaints I see on the groups, people kept going, well, why didn't Gordon, out of curiosity, check the historical records, just find out what really ended up happening to her? And I'm like, I'm glad they didn't do that. I think it would have cheapened it a little bit. Too.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think you leave that thread hanging. That's it's like anything else in life. You don't really.
There's nothing like some reality to harsh your mellow.
Yeah, that's true.
Son, you watched the episode, didn't you?
No, I have not.
Oh, I thought you had.
No.
Well, now you don't have to. No, I'm just kidding. It's still worth watching.
No,
I'll be honest. I'm only half paying attention at this point.
Well, we glossed over the.
I've been in an exhaustive conversation for the past hour and a half at this point, talking about transition.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that earlier.
Did you say exhaustive or exhausting?
Both.
Exhausting.
So what would you? I mean, yeah, that episode, the B plot with the smoking, for me, it's a pet peeve. Everybody seems to think it's funny if they don't have a problem with smoking, but for me, it just it's like, ew.
I wasn't. I thought it was funny. I just thought it was out of place for this episode.
Yeah,
but I didn't think it was bad. It was pretty humorous, actually.
What was that? What was that thing you pointed out when we were at that screen cap that was not correct for the A era?
Did you see? You didn't notice the Yankees cap that she put on her head that was in the time capsule?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, that's
aficionado noticing the logo.
Well, yeah, on the side of the cap is a new era logo. Okay, that's an official game, the 5950 Yankees hat. All right, on-field cap. Okay, and they didn't start putting those new era logo, which is a company that manufactures a cap, until 2017.
Wait, I thought they said that the time capsule, a lot of that
2015.
Oh, did they say 2015?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember that, but okay.
So yeah, so I picked up on that.
Maybe it was a prototype.
No.
Did you think of that, mister?
Well, maybe they started. Yeah. Oh, that's right. She talked about how she heard it was a good
prototype
idea.
Because it was going into a time capsule.
Yeah, 2 years earlier. Actually, as an aside, the new era logos showed up on playoff caps for the postseason in 2016, but not 2015. Sorry. Wasn't even a thought in anybody's mind back then. Not giving them that one.
I'm really torn on whether I think Orville is going to get renewed because of the merger with Fox and Disney, and Disney's going to cut redundancies, and just like they're having to let go of thousands of employees.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now that my feeling on this has changed a bit, only because they've lasted as long as they have.
They're spacing it out too. They have 3 more weeks till the next
season.
episode. But
they did that before too. That's okay. I'm not really concerned about that. They're lasting a whole lot longer than I thought they would. I thought they weren't going to last more than 6 or 7 episodes.
Well, it's not as hard for them to be profitable because they get a pretty substantial subsidy from the state of California.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, well, there you go. That helps them too. Here's the question I have though on this. Did I hear that there's a toy line coming out?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Somebody mentioned that, and okay, somebody mentioned something about a toy line. I figured if anybody knew, you would. So never mind.
I'm sorry, about a what?
A
Orville?
toy line, a line of toys.
Oh, a line of toys.
For the Orville.
I haven't heard anything. I haven't really heard much of any merchandising they've been doing that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll see what we can find out. Somebody mentioned it. Somebody said that. Well, they're not going to make a line of toys for a series that's not getting renewed. Like that was the implication there was.
Oh, they would have already started making those before they made that decision, so I'm sure they would have.
I was just wondering, but yeah, I don't really care about that. The point being is, are you really getting toys? Because I did not hear this. This is the first time hearing of it. So I'll look into it. I'll get back to you.
All right. Well, okay. Since nobody else saw the episode, we'll move on. So after 15 seasons, well, it's going to go on 15 seasons. It's going to end on its 15th season. But Supernatural. Now, here's my thoughts on Supernatural ending. I'll just say this.
Wait a minute. Whoa, hold up before you go any further. Wires crossed there because of what we were talking about, and you said it's on its 15th season. I'm like, damn, we've already had that much The Orville already.
No, it was Supernatural. I told you I'm in the
and we're only now talking about toys.
Yeah, I'm
I remember when they had the pull string Bart Simpson doll for like the 3rd season of The Simpsons.
I remember like thinking when I heard the news that it was ending, I had no feeling. I mean, good or bad. I had the same numbness I felt when I heard Stan Lee died, because Stan Lee was in his 90s, and I expected it to happen at any time. I wasn't like shocked. I mean, I was sad that he's gone, but it's like it didn't really make me go, oh my god, because I expected that a man in his 90s whose health isn't that great, it's going to happen at any time. And it did. But I have that same kind of feeling about Supernatural. It's like the show's on its about to go on its last 15th season, and I kept thinking, I had to remember, oh, that's right, it's still going, which is great. But it's been going on for so long now that it's like, you know, you expect this to happen at some point. What do you think of that, Raul? Since I know you watched the show.
I watched up to the 10th season, and then I sort of gave up on the series. The original series was only meant to go 5 seasons. They're all interlinked. They're fantastically written episodes. But afterwards the quality went down. The humor, the style, the guest stars, the kind of like the fan favorites, like what's her name? Little
Felicia
redhead.
Day?
Felicia Day, yes. She was in it. She's constantly in it after the 5th season. So it's really entertaining, but it's not the same.
I always liked it, but I never kept up with it on a regular basis. Off and on, I'd hear about a good episode, and I'd watch whatever season, whatever episode. But yeah, I just never. I liked the show. I just never. It wasn't something I ongoingly watched. I'm glad it lasted as long as it did. It made these guys stars. Or, you know, one of them was already a star from soap operas from Days of Our Lives before he even went on Supernatural. The blonde one. So he's used to doing long-running television series. But
I went into Supernatural. I didn't really back when it was first out. I didn't really think it was going to be something that interested me. I actually got into it about the 8th season, but I binged everything on Netflix is what I did, and I did it. It's kind of weird because I watched the first season, and then I took a hiatus of like a year, and then I jumped back in the second season. It's like I could not stop watching, and then Raul's right in the fact that it's certainly different. He's right about the 5-year. It was always planned to be 5 years, and then it took off. It was a closed loop. It was what it comes down to. That storyline was going to be done at that 5th season. But I guess I disagree with. It's certainly different now than it used to be. I don't think the quality has slipped. I just think it's just been a different approach. I mean, if that's just been my perspective on it, I've still thoroughly enjoyed it over the years. And
the actors probably want to stop too. I'm sure that's part of what it is.
I don't know, man.
Are you kidding? It's a paycheck.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah.
Maybe they want to do new things. I mean, sometimes that happens.
But here's the thing. This is the consistency of being on a show that's this.
You still there, Sean?
Did we lose Sean?
No, what happens is this stupid display thing. I wish there was a way to fix this on the iPhone app. If you slightly tilt your arm 2 degrees to the left or right, the whole thing rotates, and my finger goes off the little button that for the push to tuck. So
those guys grew up. The kids were off. In real life, they were at each other's weddings. They moved into houses next to in the same neighborhood as each other because everybody gotten so close on that show. Help watch each other's kids get born and grow up. It's crazy. That's how long that show's been going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a decade.
Carlos,
we're going into 15 seasons, man.
Well, I mean, 15 seasons is respectable, and I know that it has, and I have friends who are fervent fans of it. I myself, I enjoyed the first. I think I watched 3 seasons, and then it was pretty much done for me. So I like that they're having fun. It just became kind of the same thing, and so I stopped watching. But I'm not going to complain about a show that people love, and that can. It's an accomplishment to last 15 seasons. Very, very few TV series do that.
And after that long, it's cool. I think you pointed this out, Sean, that in a post, that it's cool that they're giving them one more full season to wrap up the show after, not just have it abruptly end.
Yeah, right. Or try to shoehorn something in at the end. I'm reminded of it was on the fence with Enterprise whether it was going to be canceled, whether it was going to say, and then when they finally decided to cancel it, and look at that shitty These Are the Voyages, episode 179 of Next Generation they gave us as the finale for that series. So I think I really appreciate them doing this, and they're doing that for Arrow too, which is great. That they're going to wrap up that series. They're not just going to say, you know what, this is the last season. Even though
I'm actually surprised Supernatural hasn't got any spin-offs that came off of that.
I don't think it's a strong enough premise to. Because they, it's all about the 2 brothers. There's not enough. There's not a strong enough set of supporting characters to.
Well, I
spin off.
They tried. Yes, thank you, Ro. I could have sworn there was one. It just didn't last. What was that one, Ro? I completely forgot.
Castiel's.
He had a spin-off?
Is an angel. Yeah, Castiel's an angel who basically falls from heaven and is like a gumshoe.
Oh yeah, that actor, by the way, has been on Doom Patrol. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, what do you think of all this, son? Have you ever watched it?
Hold on. Wait, take a step back. Raul, Castiel had his own series, had his own spin-off?
No. It was in the works.
Oh, okay.
It was never greenlit, but it was in the works.
That could have been interesting, actually.
That guy has a fanatical following, by the way. The actor.
Misha Collins, yes, he does.
He literally,
he's a god.
Instagrams his yoga poses, and they're like millions of hits. Millions.
Yeah, he's huge on social media. Misha Collins. Yep.
Well, he plays an angel.
Super nice guy. Super nice guy too.
What do you think, son? Did you ever watch?
I've never seen Supernatural.
Nothing wrong with that. It was generically Buffy-like.
Well, here's the thing: the way Son is so opposed to binging, she could literally get 15 years straight of good entertainment. Just
no, that would kill her. She had a hard enough time.
Oh God, that would kill me. Well, I'm sorry.
I'm saying spread it out. You've got that to look forward to for the next 15 years. Is what I'm saying.
I keep making this point over and over again, and I guess it's just not sinking in. It's not that I'm opposed to binge watching. I medically cannot binge watch stuff. It physically makes me sick.
I know. That's why I'm saying you've got this content for 15 years to spread out. Yeah, space out. Exactly. You enjoy it.
All right. Well, when Supernatural does its last season, hopefully, at this point, it doesn't matter what the ratings are. It already lasted 15 years. If it's going to end, then they can't argue that no matter what the ratings are, it went out with on top. So. Carlos,
it's nice that they chose, that they decided that they went out on their own.
It'll go out to pasture.
It's the latest fashion in networks to give shows, a season's notice that they have to wrap things up. That's what they did with Gotham. We've seen it here. Yep. A bunch of shows, and it's funny because the way that the press reports them is always, such and such show canceled, and you have to read into the story to find out that they actually mean that it has another season, but it's their last season.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. And I know, Carlos, you've been wanting to talk about the OA, which just dropped its second season on Netflix. Tell us about the OA.
The OA is a trippy sort of sci-fi / new age meditation on on life, death, friendship, parallel lives. They cram a lot of shit into this into the mythos of this show. Britt Marling, who's the star of it, is also one of the executive producers, and she does a fair amount of the writing on it as well with different partners. And it was one of those come out of nowhere series that premiered on Netflix about a year and a half ago. It was around the holidays, year before last, and it was amazing. I mean, I watched it. It got a lot of attention. I binged it in about 2 days. They have short seasons. I think only 8 or 10 episodes. 8. Yeah, 08. I just got that. Sorry. Yeah, 8 episodes.
That is funny.
And it's anyway. It's and then we
forgive the elderly. It's fine.
Thank you. Thank you for your consideration. But Netflix waited a long time to finally announce that it had been renewed. So it was, we were on pins and needles for a long time, months and months before they said, yes, it's going to be renewed. It has its own little cult following. And they were really cagey about when the second season was going to premiere. And then suddenly said, here it is. And there it is. And it was pretty good. It's heavy on the mystery. It's a big mystery as well. It's got about 3 different parallel threads going on, and they're all pretty cool. And as in the first season, the real the most kind of the part with the most heart is the 4 kids plus a teacher, high school kids plus a teacher that she befriends and to whom she tells her story and gets them to sacrifice a lot to help her. And they're still in some ways some of the I felt like we didn't get enough of them this season, but they're definitely there. They're very important, and the young actors plus the woman who plays the high school teacher, their high school teacher, is amazing. They're just they're the best part of the show for me.
I've been meaning to check it out. I'm going to be starting it pretty soon. I watched the first, I think, 2 episodes of season 1. I was interested. There's so many things I had to watch. I got sidetracked.
The thing about the OA that I want to point out that it has, this is one of the shows, and I've seen reactions of with people that they really, like Carlos and myself, really love it, or they really fucking
hate it.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's very polarizing. There's no middle ground on this.
Yeah, and some people will say that about half of the season, and then the other half's great, or the other way around.
Interestingly, the way they've written the show, or rather structured the season, is very, very similar. There's a certain episode where things get really strange, and it's always, what is it? I think it's the 4th or 5th episode, and sure enough, this season it was the same. That episode got really weird. Most of it is rooted in sort of reality with the occasional sort of metaphysical flourish, but then there's one episode that is all metaphysics.
The rails, right? Exactly. That's what I picked up on too. It's kind of like, here's the thing. It's like I go back to Lost a lot with that, because Lost did that a lot, where they rooted a lot of it in the grounded physical reality, and then out of nowhere they just hit you upside the head with the metaphysical, and it turned people off, because that's not the type of show they thought they were watching. And I said, and this is part of the issue with people, I think, why it's polarizing to them. But for guys like us, I mean, this is our type of show. I love the OA. I think it's really great. It's unique. It's wonderful storytelling in style, especially. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. You're getting about the 3rd episode, George. You're going to be hooked. That's right, I'm saying. Right,
I'll definitely be watching it.
You're done. Yeah.
First episode
tonight.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just because I was going to probably start getting back into it not long after the show.
Yeah, the first episode is a little disorienting because and same with the second season. It's not that it's incoherent, but it is you don't quite know what's going on, even though you see what's happening. How it relates, how the different threads relate to each other isn't immediately obvious. So you have to kind of hang with it and, enjoy what you are seeing of the story until you see where they kind of finally sort of start to weave together.
Right. Yeah. They bring it together. Right. That's a perfect way to describe it. It's as disorienting for the audience of the first episode, because you're paying attention to, okay, I see what's going on, but what does any of this have to do with anything? And then they bring it together. And then
interestingly enough, sense. Doom Patrol, and now I'm on episode 6. It's kind of so you get. Doom Patrol is weird in that way too. That the narrative is completely off the hook as far as trying to. And same with Umbrella Academy. It's in the sense where it takes a few episodes to really get a feel for where they're going with it, but it pays off. And each one on its own is still entertaining, but it's wacky. But I'm not saying always wacky because I haven't seen enough.
Well, I'd say that
it's got a bit of the whack.
Yeah, it does. I'd say that OA is less cartoony than the Umbrella Academy, certainly, but it's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more creepy, than type thing.
Yeah.
Because Umbrella Academy is just off the rails wackiness, but that's what it's supposed to be. But there is that sense of you really don't know what's going on for a while, and things
and it has some great twists. They're great at twists.
Yes. Gentlemen, is the OA sort of like Stranger Things in that way?
It's funny, they do make a Stranger Things reference in one of the episodes this season. And at first I was like, was that a Stranger Things reference?
Well, they can do that because they're both Netflix originals, so they kind of like their own,
I thought that made it funny, but it's not. It is not as inverted as Stranger Things can be. It's for a lot of this is grounded in like a regular drama, and like I said, it's only the occasion sort of metaphysical thing that happens, and then it returns to a very grounded drama up until that one episode where it goes all metaphysical, and then it kind of shifts back and forth.
I don't think it's going to spoil anything to mention a little bit of the concept that you guys have not even mentioned, which is it does have some things to do with some of the traveling between parallel universes or something along those lines, right?
Yeah, it does.
Right.
And the beginning of it is actually a really intriguing premise. It's this girl who
like Sliders a little bit, but not quite.
No, it's nothing like Sliders.
Nope.
Sliders had a great first season and okay second season, and it was unwatchable after that.
Right.
It was cheesy to me the entire
Right, it's about that girl. Sorry, what you were saying?
She's a blind girl who you see is jumping off the Bay Bridge, I think, in San Francisco, and they save her, and they find out that she had disappeared 7 years earlier. No one knew where she went,
right,
and she had her sight back.
Well, Sliders, the concept for Sliders was stolen from George R.R. Martin, so and it's a cheesy output at that. So I never liked it.
Well, the OA sounds like a good show. I'm going to be checking it out. I mean, other than what I've seen so far. While I remember,
and I will say one last thing, that if you are a reader of Star Trek novels, the ending of this season is right out of a particular Star Trek novel, and it's season 2. Yes, yeah, season 2.
What novel? Carl's haven't seen it yet.
It is the Star Trek: The New Voyages that Vonda McIntyre and what's her name, Sandra Marshak edited, and it was a series of essentially fan-written stories that they published, and they edited them, and they did that famous one that Star Trek: New Voyages adapted, where Kirk gets thrown back in time by the Klingons and has no memory of who he is, and anyway, and which I loved it when I was 12. Apparently, it turns out to be a huge Mary Sue, but when I was 12, I thought it was great. But this refers to another one of the stories in that volume, and I thought it was cool. Again, 12 when I read it, but
Many years.
But the OA does the same premise at the end of this season, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how people react.
Yeah.
So basically, this entire conversation boils down to Marmite, the television show.
All I know from Marmite is it's a disgusting thing you eat in Australia.
Yeah.
No. That's Vegemite. Marmite is the English version.
Oh, okay, but still disgusting.
I think I remember this.
But see, that's the whole point. It's either something you like or something you don't. There is no in between. Now, there are the people.
Yeah, gotcha.
Now, there are the people who like it individually in individual circumstances. But it's a polarizing, super polarizing. There is no in between. It is very
polarizing. Yes.
It actually reminded me of the days when Xena Warrior Princess was on, and they would have the super serious episodes, and then they'd suddenly out of nowhere do the completely out of left field episodes, like the one called "You Are There." I'll never forget that one, where a reporter is interviewing Xena in the ancient times as if it's a modern camera.
It's literally nothing like that.
Okay.
But that's okay.
No, I'm just saying as far as the reaction from the audience. That's what what I meant as far as the reaction from the audience.
Look, Supernatural. Look what you're talking about. That Supernatural did that too. Does a ton of that too.
Well, yeah, but the Scooby Doo episode though was awesome because they used an actual. They worked the exposition for why they went in the cartoon.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. They do with all those goofy Supernatural ones. They do a very clever job of spelling it out so it actually makes sense. And you actually go, yeah, I buy this. Okay, you sold me. But here, hey, since you're talking about comedy episodes, let's talk about the comedy episode that I just experienced in my restroom. Yes, this is going there. Okay, so I go to my bathroom just a moment ago, and I take a look just down at the...
Oh boy, hang on, people. It gets bumpy here.
It does get bumpy, but it's fun.
And also a little corny.
So I look down to the left. I'm at the sink, and I look down to the left, and I notice something's a little off with the toilet paper roll. I take a closer look. My boys, the comedians that they are, they managed to successfully remove the cardboard tube from the toilet paper roll perfectly and stick it back on the holder. I don't know how they did this, but they are geniuses.
Magic.
So that's it.
All right. Well,
boys get in trouble? Get out of here, Sean.
That's all they do.
I want to, while I remember it, I kept meaning to bring this up a couple of shows ago. I finally finished the first season of a show that's come out that is perfectly geeky, and it's called Project Blue Book, and I want to recommend it especially for people who used to love the X-Files, but it's based on the real Project Blue Book, and the main character is played by the guy who played Peter Baelish, Pete Littlefinger on Game of Thrones. His partner is Air Force Colonel.
His name is Aidan Gillen. He's amazing.
Okay, and the two, him and the Air Force Colonel guy that are assigned, it's based off the real guy that he's based off of is an actual person, and the files, they took declassified files and they. What I love about the show is they haven't come out and said aliens are real, but because their job is to explain everything, and and then as the show's going on, they're finding stuff out and seeing things that are making them question the cover up and everything. And by the end, you don't know for sure of the first season whether they're real or not, but they could be. And there's enough there to make you wonder what they're going to expose. And it takes place in the late 50s and into the 60s as they're going along with the real historical events, and it is incredible. It's on the history.
It's very good.
You been watching it, Raul?
Yes, sir.
Have you watched the whole first season?
Yes, sir.
So what did you think? It's on the History Channel.
It's on History Channel. It's History Channel's like foray into fictional shows.
Yeah,
it's a
series now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very well acted, well presented, very serious. Not like it's aliens, dude. That guy. It's none of that. It's very awesome. I highly recommend it for our audience.
And the way that they do it is it's not like X-Files. They're investigating things, and you're led to believe that what you're experiencing really is aliens, and that this character just hasn't found out yet. But they actually end up usually finding the explanation. Sometimes, like Scooby-Doo, they've unmasked the real thing or whatever. Like it was Farmer Jenkins, and he wore this mask, and he was suspended on those wires. They kind of go there with some of the episodes where you thought for sure there was no other explanation, but then they actually figure out what happened, who did this hoax. But then some episodes they can't explain it.
You just described the X-Files.
Well,
yeah.
Except for the X-Files, sometimes there were episodes where you knew as an audience member that was an alien, but in the show, Mulder wasn't sure. In this show, you're not sure, but yet there's enough episodes that make you go, because even the characters are like, holy shit, what's going on? And as it goes along, but it's just the way they twist your expectations, but they take real historical files and they just change it into a drama script. And it did get picked up for season 2, which excites me. There's 10 episodes in the first season, but yeah, definitely check it out. Project Blue Book History Channel. If you have basic cable, you can watch it, or anything that gets those channels. So it doesn't require a paywall or anything like that. So yeah, I recommend that one big time. So Marvel has there's been an announcement that doesn't surprise me. I don't know why it should surprise anyone. Well, it was ambiguous as to whether they were going to be taking over the shows that Netflix did and putting them on their thing. But they're apparently going to be rebooting all the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, or everything that they're going to use. Anyways, will be a reboot. Now, here's what's interesting because I was reading an article and watching a thing. Now,
they pretty much have to.
Yeah, you have to. I know.
No, I thought they would have anyway. I didn't.
Well, let me just say this.
Yeah,
one part.
they legally they have to.
That's true.
These shows belong to Netflix. The ones
That's
that
true.
they are.
Yeah, they license them. Yeah, but here's what's interesting. They have not ruled out. I'm going to read something that was a quote from the Kevin Feige. This is not. They're not ruling out the possibility that even though it's rebooted, that some of the actors could come back. It depends. This is what they said. It said it would not be surprising if any of these things reemerge. It depends on showrunners, depends on availability of the actors, and all of these things. It's not like we're a doctor show where the show got canceled because of bad ratings. These are shows that have a very different reason for ending, and most of which I'm not at liberty to talk about, nor should anyone really at the end of the day. Or should no one really care at the end of the day. The other interesting thing is that they are saying that these new shows that they're going to be starting up over on the Disney show are going to be very 100% embracingly connected to the movies, more than, they're basically saying the ABC ones were never really taken seriously. It's kind of the language they were giving, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The ABC, you mean the Netflix ones?
Whatever
basically
they're starting,
the network shows.
Whatever these Disney shows that they bring on their streaming thing, they're making sure they are connected, that you will get crossovers. You might see.
No, what you just said was that you were talking about these shows and how they didn't do that before. But you said ABC shows. No, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was that doesn't.
Joss Whedon said in an interview when they were talking to him about this that I watched it today. He said. At first, we thought that the shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were going to be directly back and forth crossovers between the two universes. They had Sif on one episode. They mentioned things, but the way the way Disney's treating it is that the reason you never saw Clark. He said the reason you never saw Greg Clark come back on the movies, even though he was alive again on the show, is they never fully connected it, and took it seriously. They looked at it like, well, we'll see where it goes, but they weren't going to commit to, we recognize that ABC show as being this same universe.
That doesn't make any sense at all because they absolutely did. Hold on one second.
It was one way, though, Sean. It was one way.
That's what I mean. It was one way.
No, it wasn't.
They mentioned the events of Infinity War. They mentioned all that stuff.
The very end of season 1 goes directly into Civil War.
Right, and that's before the time that Kevin Feige is talking about.
Right, but what they're saying is the stuff from the show has never cross-translated onto the big screen. That's what I mean.
It did, though. That's what he did. Oh my God!
It led into it. It was a lead-in, but it's not really. I understand the point he's making. It's just that they're basically saying that the TV shows didn't really matter that much.
The words Kevin Feige used was the shows were not going to affect what they do in the movies. So you could take that in whatever way you want it, but Joss Whedon got the impression they never really were going to allow it to interfere with what they're doing in the movies.
I'm getting a feeling neither one of these guys ever actually watched any of the shows.
I know what you're saying. I do.
Entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
Yeah. Because, he basically is saying that his wording was.
We know what he's saying.
Yeah, they're not going to let the show dictate any of their plans or.
Yeah, no, it's clear what he's saying.
Right.
It's clear what he's saying.
So and that's fine. I have no problem with that because you can't be tied to other parts of your franchise for feature films at all. I don't have a problem with that. But it's like I said, there seems to be some confusion here on their part as to the role that those shows played.
Right.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore, apparently. Yeah,
Sounds like after season 1 of
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they pretty well decided what they were, that they weren't going to pay attention.
Well, that is true because there really was. I mean, it went off. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of went off on its own tangent there, and there really wasn't
never
much
even
discussed about.
Coulson, even just a name drop, ever since he came back.
No, I know, but
well, you see him in Captain Marvel,
right?
Yeah, that's true. Even though that's past, but yeah, it's interesting. But as far as the Netflix shows going over, like people are flipping out. Of course, they're like, well, they can at least get the actors. And like they said, they're not ruling it out. I personally don't think they're going to do that, but it's not impossible.
I remember you saying particularly that they were going to continue the episodes and they were going to be the same actors on the show.
No, they're not.
He didn't.
If George said that, I probably said what I often say when George speculates on something.
No, I don't remember saying
nope.
That. No, I don't remember
that you. I remember you thinking maybe or asking about it, but
right. He said that
it was.
He posited that it could happen. He didn't.
The only thing that they're agreeing could happen, like in the statement I just read, is the possibility that an actor will come back to play that same role. That because they've done that with like Constantine with NBC, although that's TV, I know. This is TV actually. Never mind. But still, there is a precedent that they could migrate a character over and then redo him, and then you just have to deal with the fact that the old show isn't. If they're smart, my opinion, they could reboot it without having to do the origin over again, and then in a way you could say, maybe that did happen.
They
in the
could
past.
They can start a new story using the same actors. Here's the issue you have here is that, depending how fast they want to do that, these characters are so fresh as being played by who they're played by now. It's not like we're talking about a 10-year hiatus. The only thing that I could compare it to is it's a switch between Andrew Garfield and the new kid who plays Spider-Man now. But that's because nobody liked those Spider-Man movies. The problem with these Netflix Marvel series is that they're well received, and their performances of their of the actors who played those characters has been very well received. They're iconic now. So, that's I see where they're coming from on that they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater if they can get the actors back.
And they could do.
They should keep the Punisher actor for sure. That could be incredible.
That could be what he meant when he did that.
I have a funny feeling. I got a funny feeling that John Bernthal goes to sleep in that outfit at night.
Oh my God, doesn't he? Yeah.
But here's the thing: if they're going to put him on the streaming Disney thing, I don't know if they're going to want to have a character like the Punisher with that kind of graphic violence. I think they're going to.
Yeah, I think the other news that we talked about a couple of weeks ago happened about Disney's acquiring a majority interest in Hulu, which now makes sense to be the place where their more adult-oriented shows would go.
Right. And yeah, that's
true. They need to split that. They need to split this service up, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, you can't have little kid movies on the same network that you have the Punisher on.
Well, let's not just. I mean, not just that, but let's
why
be honest.
Netflix does it, guys?
Well, the reason I don't think they're gonna.
But Netflix is not Disney. That's why.
Yeah, it's Netflix's brand. It's not Disney's brand.
Their goal is to make these characters enter their MCU, and I don't think they're going to split it up like that. They could, but I don't know. It would be like the same thing as saying them one day doing an R-rated one of the Marvel movies. I guess it's possible.
By the way, confirmed, Deadpool is a Disney princess now. Just letting you know.
I don't understand that logic. I keep hearing that. What is? I don't get the reference to that. What?
Just that he's gonna continue being a part of the MCU.
Well, no, the Disney princesses are the iconic female characters that.
Think you're all I know what Disney princesses are.
Okay, well, I'm just letting you know.
But how is he a Disney?
Just because
princess?
he's accepted by Disney is all.
Because he's insane.
Oh, okay.
Because he's insane, he's allowed to be a princess.
Basically.
Because he acts like one in his own movies.
Oh my God. So that's interesting. That's all happening. We'll hit a couple more topics. James.
Speaking of, though, by the way, this officially means that that the xenomorphs from the Alien franchise are the new Disney villain
Yeah, I saw that
queens.
too. Yeah, I saw
They're,
that.
they're,
No,
they're
that
not even they're not even like they're not even Disney princesses. They're like the villain queens. They're
yeah,
the new
that
Ursula.
actually does make sense.
So, as everybody's heard, this is a little old, but I forgot to talk about it, or didn't have time, one or the other. James Gunn is rehired for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. People seem to be happy about this. I'm glad because I think he handled the first two good, and he had a vision for number 3 that would introduce Adam Warlock, and he was planning on doing that for number 3. I'm hoping he sticks to that because I want Adam Warlock in my MCU. But what do you think of that? What do you think of that, Raul?
I am dying for Adam Warlock to come in and kick Thanos' ass. I'm really dying for it.
I think it'll be probably after that, but yeah.
Is that confirmed? We're going to see an Adam Warlock?
No, but James Gunn said in an interview when he did number 2, he wanted. That's why he did the Easter egg in the post credits where he's born. Is that he wanted to put Adam Warlock as one of the main introduce him in number 2, but it was just overcrowded as it was. So he decided he was going to do Adam Warlock in number 3. But then he got fired. But now that he's back, assuming he still wants to do that vision, he threw that Easter egg in there that Adam Warlock was in the post credit. He was created, and so that's what his goal was. So whether that'll still happen, I don't know, but it would be cool. You never liked Adam Warlock as a character, or?
I never did. He wasn't a standout character to me in the Marvel universe.
And also, his thing used to be that he had the gem that Vision has.
Vision, yes.
Yeah, so they swapped those two out, almost made Vision like Adam Warlock. Because Adam Warlock should have been.
They made him very Adam Warlocky.
It was almost like there was. Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be ethereal and kind of above everything, above the fray.
Right.
Are we going to talk about actually why this is news to begin with, and how this whole thing erupted to begin with?
Go ahead.
We did.
Yeah, we need to.
Didn't we talk about this before? The James
Yeah,
Gunn
we did.
fire?
We did a while back. Yeah.
Well, Sean, why don't you remind everybody?
Okay, well, here's what happened for those who weren't keeping score. It was back last.
Previously on Super Geeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Nerds of a feather.
Yeah, it was late July. I remember because I remember where I was. I was in an airport in Texas when this whole thing broke. But there apparently a bunch of old tweets where James Gunn had posted way back in the day. We're talking like 2010, 2011, before he was a big name. They were just really, really horrible. I mean, just things he was saying about, about pedophilia and all sorts of just gross, sick shit that were dug up by some right winger somewhere. I don't even understand. I don't understand what the context of this was. Why they were so adamant about going after James Gunn.
I could explain this in a little bit better detail. At least that portion of it is that you've had people on the left doing this for quite a while against people they disagreed with on the right.
Sure.
To try and de-career them essentially. And so what happened was the person who did this to James Gunn had taken a tactic on one side and applied it to their side to say, well, if these are the rules you're going to play by, let's play by them.
I get that, but what was that James Gunn did they got his cockles up so badly that he had to go after him like that?
I think he'd made some political tweets, and so they decided to go after him.
Oh, okay. So, swell. Well, anyway, but the thing about it, so Disney, of course, they knee-jerked, and within 48 hours, they announced, I think, something like that he was not going to be the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and he would be replaced. And my whole thing about this was that I remember during the time going through this, going, the things that James Gunn said, I appreciate the fact that he apologized for him and everything, but there were some pretty fucked up things that he posted, and not for nothing, he was like in the wound up like retweeting or like going back and forth with this guy Houston Huddleston, who I don't know if you guys are aware who Houston Huddleston and what his recent claim to fame was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So So it was very disturbing, the things he said. Now, he apologized and said, he's
Well, the
basically
problem with Houston Huddleston is that he was also doing illegal things.
right. Exactly. It's just, it gets to a point where it's like there's some guilt by association there. But with Gunn, he said some nasty things. He said some really horrible things. I guess my bigger issue at the time was that people were defending what he had said. Um, but I never thought that, I thought
And
it's
he
silly.
wasn't even defending what he'd said.
Right, exactly. That's it. And the thing is, he suggest, it's not an excuse, but he explained it like, he was acting like a shock jock. There were things that he was doing and saying that were, solely for the purpose of getting attention. And I can appreciate that to a point. Regardless, I don't. I'm really. I have a very hard time with giving people shit and ruining their careers over things they said 5, 6, 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, whatever the case it is. It's like I'm. It seems quite unfair, and I had a funny feeling when he was quote unquote fired by Disney that he would be coming back, because it seemed to all go away very quickly. And
well,
about a
the
year,
interesting part was that although in most of those cases when they get found out, actors suddenly pipe up and start telling their stories.
Let him finish. He was in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there was I got the like I said, I got the feeling that they were going to let this blow over and bring him back, because it seemed very abrupt that they would knee jerk so quickly over post tweets made in 2010.
Well, I mean, this came out during the height of the Me Too news, so it's not surprising to me that they did it so quickly. What was surprising to me was, they obviously waited a long time before changing their minds, or they changed their mind, quite a while after they fired him, because who else can they turn to do something on the scale of Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, there's not. It's his signature style that makes it capable of pulling off that kind of a film. So, I think he never tried to defend what he said. He said, "I was dumb. I was stupid. I learned from it. I'm a different man. 10 years later than I was when I was, tweeting irresponsibly like that. And I'm older, better, wiser. And so I think that
reminds me a lot of Kevin Hart controversy recently.
I was thinking the same thing too.
Kevin Hart, his apology was a non-apology. It was, I apologize if you feel bad, which, God, I hate when people phrase it that way.
But here's the thing with the Kevin Hart situation, though. Kevin Hart was being dragged for shit that is comedy in his community, in his circle of him being black.
Yeah, it is different a little bit. Also, did you guys notice that the one thing the two of them have in common is the actors all stuck up for. In some of the cases where an actor pipes up or says something that someone unearths, then actors that people work with them start piping up, and you find out they were horrible people also to work with and things like that, or that they got harassed or whatever. Nobody was saying James Gunn did anything bad to other than make those tweets. Like people were defending him. His cast that worked for him, and they kept saying they wouldn't do. Dave Bautista was not going to come back if James Gunn wasn't going to do it. They were all saying stand with James Gunn. They were all getting together. They weren't. I'm sure saying that they supported what he said years ago. But other than those tweets, I haven't heard stories of him doing anything crazy offline.
No, he hasn't. And
there's a big difference there.
It
shows the truth in his words that he was just shock jockeying. So
right.
Yeah. Yeah, yep. and that's what he was back then. I mean, I'd heard of him back then, and I thought, that's why when I first heard the first news that they were making Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought they're never going to be able to pull it off with this guy, because this guy is out there. And, then I saw it, and I was like, oh, wow. There's more to this guy.
Didn't other directors drop out too because they didn't want to do it? Because they were kind of like, I don't want to deal with this. And then
I don't remember that.
Whose name did they attach to it after he was allegedly? fired.
I don't think they attached anyone's name to it.
I thought
that's
they had.
The problem.
Okay, yep. But I agree. I mean, it's like, think about it. Had this been during the time
Taika Waititi, the Thor Ragnarok, was confirmed he dropped out. He was on February 4th. He was going to do it. The guy who did Thor Ragnarok.
So think about this. Had this happened to Christopher Nolan during the right before the third in the Batman trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, think about who the hell else could have directed that third film. I can't imagine that even being possible. I'm not really surprised that Disney, they backpedaled on this.
Yeah, me either. I think the smoking guns pretty much cleared the smoke and. Yeah, pretty much. So let's do one more topic.
The stuff that I've read on about replacing him is that they did talk to some people, but they did not actively seek a replacement before he was rehired.
Replacement, yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of the regular Super Geek Show. Carlos, where can people find you on social media?
I am at Carlos Pedraza on Twitter, at Axe Monitor, also on Twitter, axemonitor.com on the web, and on the Axe Monitor Facebook group.
All right. And what about you, Mr. Raul the Baul?
I am from Arizona. My name is Raul Padron, and you can find me on Facebook.
All right. And Sean?
Oh, I'm over at the Axe Monitor Facebook group, of course. Occasionally, every now and then on Twitter, and now.
And you're also at the Real Super Geeks.
Exactly what I was about to mention. You got it. Yep, and we are at the Real Super Geeks group. So come join us over there.
And that's on Facebook, and that's all you can do to find it is just type in the Real Super Geeks. And son, what about you?
You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/SunsealFan. That's where I usually post the links to the stuff I've been in.
All right. And I'm George, and you can find us, like Sean said, on the Real Super Geeks on YouTube channel. It's TR Super Geeks, and also I'm going to be making a new Twitter for TR Super Geeks pretty soon, so we can get more up to date and link everything up. So yeah, and you can also find us on Subspace Radio, subspace-radio.net, and that's on Monday, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern time, though sometimes it starts a little late if the DJ is doing something special, but for the most part that's when you can find us there. All right, that's going to do it for another awesome episode of Super Geeks, and we'll be back with more, and also we'll be doing a Game of Thrones show very soon. I'm getting excited in April, and yeah, and still more Discovery episodes to come before that's over. So thanks for joining, everyone. And
4 more, right?
Yeah, there's 4 more Discovery, and Game of Thrones starts while there's at least 1 more Discovery after the week Game of Thrones premieres. So, from what I gathered.
Busy.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you all the next time. Have a good night.
Thank you, George.
Good night.